is Dr. Tracy Lynn West, and we call her Tracy. Dr. West. Oh, I'm all nervous to have you here.
I don't know why.
Me neither. And Dr. West is, I know her as my leader, my mentor in this class. We've talked about everyday leadership, and as we are everyday leaders in the workplace, that we should have, a mentor, someone that we look up to help us, guide us through our journey. And Dr. West has been that to me. I'm going to tell you how I met her. I was attending DeVry University, and that was a long time ago. And she was the academic dean at the time. Was it the academic dean?
Over the campus. They just called it a center dean, but I was over the campus.
She was the campus president. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I would attend class at night because I was working full time. And as I was leaving my classes at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, there was this lady that was sitting in her office. And I was like, who is this woman that stays until the campus closes? When I leave as an evening student, she leaves. Turned out to be, she was a campus president. And I didn't know her at the time, but I watched her. And I said, when I become a leader, those are the things that I want people to see of me. That I stay late. Because most leaders, or I shouldn't say most, but very few leaders tend to stay late at night all the time. And Dr. West was on campus all the time, late at night. So she left a great impression. Then I went to another school and started, working as an administrative assistant. And that school needed a campus president. And guess who walks through the door for an interview? Dr. West. So the person who was interviewing Dr. West, I ran to him and I said, you must hire this lady because I want to be able to learn from her. And I gave him the story. And he was like, what? She was on campus at night when you were at school? And I said, yes. So they did the interview, and sure enough, my dream came true. So for 5 years, I was able to sit under Dr. West and learn her leadership style. And all of the 19 years that I have worked, I have met and been under many, many leaders. And I'm going to tell you this, she's the best. What she's going to give, the information that she's going to give you is all heart-based. She is what is called a servant leader. You might call herself something different, but she is a servant leader. When she comes into the organization, she just doesn't come in just for the organization and the C-suite. She comes in to want to know who you are first. What are your jobs? What are your concerns? And then she actually starts to transition the employees and the organization. We became the #1 school in, I think it was like less than a year. Because of Dr. West's leadership. So, this week, chapter 11 is about leadership and motivating, and how we are everyday leaders, and then how do we become from everyday leaders to leadership. So I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Tracy.
Thank you, Michelle. I don't know how I can follow that introduction. It was too kind of her.
I don't know if you can hear us, but we can't hear you on Zoom.
Okay. And so,
But I can't hear.
oh,
Same here.
oh, I'm so sad they can't hear.
Neither.
So that was too kind of her. She's too kind. Michelle's a great individual.
Let me have you come over here too.
Oh, I need to come closer this way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Get
back
the
over
camera.
here.
And I'm going to get out, and now you're on the camera.
Okay, so I'm good here. I kind of got to stay.
You can move over.
I can.
Follow you.
Oh, I will? Okay. Am I good or? Okay. Michelle has been encouraging me. I'm in a season right now where I haven't been working and I'm dealing with some health issues. And so she's been so encouraging to me. And so it's my pleasure and my honor to come and talk to you all today. I like for this to be an interactive conversation. I don't want to talk at you. I like for you to feel like you can ask me questions and we can kind of talk one-on-one. I teach as well. And so I understand the issue she's going through with the hybrid. And obviously, stuff always happens when you're trying to do something good. But I definitely want it to be an interactive conversation with you guys. And I want you to be able to pick my brain. I come to you with over 30 plus years in leadership. And I've run a lot of companies. My first 20 years of my career, I spent in retail management. And so what kind of got me to higher education was my love for people and always wanting to see them grow and develop. And so when I worked long hours in retail, as you guys know how retail is, the best part about that work was my people and helping them to get to the roles that they wanted to be. I have a saying that I hire for attitude and train for skill. So if you've got the right attitude, right, that's all an employer really looks for. One of the things that I would say, and I'll go all over the place with my story, so feel free to jump in and ask me questions because I do that, because things come up to my mind. But one of the things that I would always tell my students, so I spent 20 years in specialty and big box retail, then I transitioned to higher education. And I've been doing that almost 20 years. I know I don't look like it, but I have been. But one of the things I always tell my students is, what's going to differentiate you from the other people that are applying for the same job? How are you going to stand out? Because tell me your major. What's your major?
Cyber defense.
Cyber defense. Oh, about you?
I'm stuck between two, business and psychology right now.
Okay, both of those are great. We'll talk a little bit more, maybe see if we can help you. Business. IT. And
business and office admin.
perfect. So I got some business folks here. Then you guys are kind of technology, right? So when you walk into the interview, tell me your name. Ronell. Bricia, that's pretty. And Cassetta. When the three of you walk into an interview, what's going to make you different from the other? Because you guys are all doing business. So you're going to all have a business diploma. So how are you going to stand out to that interviewer, right? Tell me your names. Joseph. Tenny? Kenny. Joseph and Kenny, we'll say, for sake of my conversation, you guys are same interview, right? So when you guys walk in, it's going to make you stand out, right? So I want you to think about that. What I tell my students is your soft skills. It's your ability, right? Psychology, right? It's your ability to come across to that employer with a what's in it for them to hire you, right? Because you're going to have the same degree. So why am I picking Casetta over Bessia, right? Why am I picking Kenny over, was it Stephen? Joseph, over Joseph, right? So I want you to think about that as you go through your journey in school. How do I stand out from the rest? And think about all the people that are going to college, all right? It's not just the people here at RCC that are doing the same degree. What about the people that are at Moreno Valley College? What about the people that are at San Bernardino Valley College? What about the people that are at UC Riverside? You guys are all doing the same degree. And you might cross paths for the same job. People think, oh, it's my resume's got to stand out and all of this, right? Coming from somebody that's hired people for 30 plus years, right? I've seen a lot of resumes, right? But the difference is, if I got you in front of me, you're going to show me why there's value in hiring you versus the other person. Because you guys have the same degree. So tell me how you do that. Give me one thought. I want everybody to think about one thought, how you feel you could stand out to an employer. One thing. Who wants to tell me one that they know right now and feel confident about? What's one thing you think helps you to stand out?
I agree with what you said, the right attitude. I mean, your attitude is everything. If I walk in there with not necessarily a bad attitude, but kind of be with confidence, you believe in your ability to do the job, and also coming just from a pure heart for me.
Yes.
That's what I would present, just my authentic self.
I love that. I love that. A couple things you said: positive attitude, pure heart, right? Authentic self, right? That's awesome. Because if you show up like that, right, the employer is going to be able to feel that. They can feel it. And so, very good. I love that you said that. Other thoughts? What would you do that? Tell me, Joseph.
It would be kind of good. It's like if you have, how do I put this? Like if you have ways to show on your resume that you are being authentic, like to add on to what he said, like I don't know, like going and volunteering for your community, being involved in certain clubs. That way, you're not just. It's not just about personality, but they actually believe that is your personality, not just a facade for them.
I love it. So let me tell you a quick story about that, Joseph. You hit the nail on the head. I met with an old boss yesterday. He was my boss about 20 years ago. And his son is interested in politics. And this is the very thing that came up in the interview for him. His son has been doing all this stuff with politicians. So he's been working with Kamala Harris's office and doing a lot of things with the Democratic Party. But he wants to work at a law firm. Right, Joseph? It's like, okay, you in politics, but you want to work for a law firm. Okay, so how do you show the value there? So his dad said they made sure that they prepped to answer that exact question. Why is it that you're coming to a law firm when everything we've seen in your experience is about politics, right? And so on his resume, that's what it showed. It was everything political. So how does that have to do anything with right? And so because he felt that question would come up and he needed to overcome that objection, he prepared his answer. And sure enough, my ex-boss said it was the first question they asked him. So you've been doing all this work in politics, why you want to work for a law firm, right? And I don't know what his answer was, but he was able to answer because he got the job. So your point is so important because you've got to be able to speak to that resume, right? Now, volunteer work, showing that you're in the community, those are great things that will help you stand apart from other people, right? Because not everybody does those kind of things, right? And so what you have to do is you have to know your industry, right? You have to research. Know what the employer anticipate. Let me say that, because you're not going to know what the employer is going to ask. But you have to anticipate the kind of questions that will be asked, right? It's the same thing if you look at your resume and you've got gaps in employment. Anticipate they're going to ask you that question, right? And be able to respond. Because a person that can walk in an interview and be prepared and do those things, again, it's going to help you stand apart, right? Other thoughts on standing apart? What do you think? How do you do that?
Don't feel like prepared to the interview, like respond the questions with confidence.
That's great. How do you guys answer the question, tell me about yourself? How do you answer that question? Because you know it's,
Students can hear you.
oh, wonderful, hello online.
I have two.
Hello, I'm glad you can hear me. Shanifa and Tabitha, is it Tabitha? Tabitha? Tabitha. I butcher names. Good morning. Thank you. I'm so happy that you can hear me now. You may also participate and answer any of my questions as well. So I was asking, how do you stand apart when you're in an interview? So if you want to chime in, feel free. Good morning.
Good morning.
So your point of being confident, right? But I can tell you with probably 99% assurance that an employer is going to ask you to tell them about yourself. And it's a question that you have to know how to do and answer it concisely within 60 seconds, your elevator speech, right? Because people don't have all day, right? They don't want to speak to you and talk to you all day. They want you to get to the point, tell them what you are about, right? Because guess what? They got a whole lot of other things to do. And they don't want to have you be laboring because you can't get your points across, right? So how many of you have thought about that question? Tell me about yourself and been able to do it within 60 seconds. What's your name?
Jasmine.
Jasmine, nice to meet you. I'm Dr. West. Thank you. Tell me about what your answer would be.
To that question.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I struggle with that question.
You do?
Yeah,
Okay.
to be honest.
All right, that's great. And it's okay, right? You don't have to have it all figured out. When you think about yourself, right, and your experience, let's say you don't have a lot of work experience, right? It's important to, Joseph said earlier, maybe you can talk about community work you've done. Maybe you can talk about volunteer work that you've done. It's important, though, as Brescia said, and no matter what you say, is to have the confidence, right, when you say it. And so it's important to be very concise, with what I mean by that. You don't want to stumble, you don't want to be umming, you don't want to be looking around. You know, I'm Dr. Tracy West. I come to you with 30 years plus of experience in higher education leadership. I have helped organizations grow and develop. I've promoted over 21 people. I have been able to take campuses and turn them around and make them high-performing campuses. Right? So